surprise me if a next argument will come up rather soon, saying that Ethiopia has the right to self-defense because Eritrea is occupying parts of Ethiopia, is hostile on Ethiopian territory. And that is correct. According to international law and the law of war, Ethiopia has the right to defend itself in this regard. And Ethiopia can construe a lot of arguments underpinning such a narrative. That Eritrea is amassing troops along the border, Eritrea is kidnapping Ethiopians, Eritrea is harassing Ethiopians, Eritrea is supporting Fano, is supporting other insurgencies in Ethiopia to destabilize Ethiopia. Eritrea is a threat to regional security, Eritrea is a threat to regional stability. Remember, it's not that many years ago Eritrea was sanctioned by the Security Council exactly on these grounds. So yes, Ethiopia can make a case on this. And then we need to try to interpret that. Why are you doing it? What is building up? How are they phrasing it? What is new now today, which was not around yesterday? And I think a plausible conclusion is rather clear, that it is a build-up to a new war. And I've said that for 2.5 years, since the signing of the Pretoria Agreement. I said this is just an interlude until a new war will erupt. Again, nothing new, nothing surprising in my view. It falls into this pattern we have seen since the signing of the Pretoria Agreement.
So, I mean, this is something that is difficult to verify, but some people who support the TPLF and who support the idea of the TPLF and the APLF getting in bed together today, saying that Eritrean forces have actually withdrawn from Tigray, and the reason they have done is because they are trying to deny Ethiopia of any excuse. Is that something that you suspect might have happened? And of course, there is the issue of the bone of contention between Tigray and Ethiopia in terms of the territory, is that Eritrea maintains that it is entitled to the land that was awarded to it by the Border Commission, or what is called the Algiers Border Commission. And then, of course, Tigray says that it hasn't been demarcated and therefore that it should leave completely. So there is a lot of tension there.
It would be 100% wise of Eritrea to pull out its troops on what is recognized Ethiopian/Tigrayan territories. That would be definitely the wisest thing.
Kjetil, so I want you to also address the issue of when you say recognized, for instance.
Yeah, coming to that.
All right.
So, because, again, the Border Commission, Eritrean-Ethiopian Border Commission, did grant in 2003 territories in Tigray, which the Tigrayan authorities since then have, and Ethiopian authorities under EPRDF, has not recognized. We are talking about Irob, basically, yeah? Half of the Irob community, Alentena and so on. But from my perspective, we know that Eritrean troops have also gone beyond the territories which was granted to them by the Border Commission. That is a provocation. That is illegal according to international law. Ethiopia has the rightful position to say that, we can push you out. And they can call for international sanctions on Eritrea because they occupy recognized Ethiopian territories. If Eritrea pulls back to only the territories granted to them by the Border Commission, which Tigrayan authorities doesn't recognize, which Ethiopia earlier didn't recognize, it is more ambiguous, yeah? Eritrea it's not ambiguous according to international law. Eritrea has a right to be there because it is their territory. But then you have to think that, it is Ethiopian government over the last year and a half, or persons affiliated to the Ethiopian governments or their proxies have claimed that the Algiers Agreement is nullified. Hence, the border demarcation conducted by the Eritrean-Ethiopian Border Commission in 2003 in a final decision is not valid. So then they should pull out to the earlier recognized international border between the two countries, which again is not demarcated on the ground as such. So it is a frontier which is somehow a bit ambiguous, at least at certain intervals along their international border. This, shouldn't be a big issue in its own right, but it can be used as an excellent trigger for a war. And that's what I've been trying to analyze over the last year or so. The war will come, for sure. But what will be the triggering factor unleashing the war? And from which side? And who will be involved in terms of Tigray? Which side will they align with? That is the interesting issue to look at. Not if the war will come or not. The war will come.
Well, something that I'm sensing is that the issue of demarcation is very difficult to implement if the actors are not acting in good faith, which they are not. So how would that be implemented? Even if we were to assume that they are not really interested in war, they're only trying to protect themselves, it's very difficult how they would find a settled arrangement without good faith. But
an interesting, just to speculate a bit, it's always interesting to provide some hypothesis. Since it is primarily TPLF who have denied the recognition, so to say, of the Border Commission's demarcation.